2/3 of all sellers do either repairs to their home or full-blown renovations before they list their home. Is this appropriate or not? Let's dive into it. My name is Wagner with the Artisan Group at Keller Williams Realty. So there's two items here. There's repairs, and then there's just making updates to the home to make it more desirable to the marketplace. The first, let's dive into repairs. Some people, they ask, hey, Derek, should we do a pre-inspection to the home before we list it? My answer is this: it depends. Do you have a lot of repairs you think you need to do? Here's some pros and cons to doing a pre-listing inspection. One of the pros is now you know what you need to fix. One of the cons is you have to disclose all the material facts. So essentially, that list now becomes a disclosure list on top of anything else that you may need to disclose. Buyers like it when you disclose to them, so it's not a bad thing to have a list. So you don't get caught off guard on things that may be a big deal, like roofs, major mechanical issues. Those things are typically going to need to be done before we close anyway. Some of those things are also insurance claimable items, like a roof may have hail damage, and you can manage that process before we list it or once we're under contract. My recommendation, if there are major mechanical things and we do know about them, it's just better to fix them before we even list the home. The buyers are going to find it anyway. They're likely going to ask for you to make those repairs. Sometimes it's tough to get, in the middle of hail season, it's tough to get a roofer out to get the home done or the roof done before we close. So there are some of those items. It's just better to get them dealt with. You could sleep easier knowing that the work is already done and the buyer's not going to fret. And they think, oh, wow, we've got a seller who's willing to make all of these repairs. It makes them feel good about the transaction also. So my recommendation there, anything major, let's get it done. Anything minor, let's just disclose it unless you feel better about making those repairs, and just go ahead and make those repairs. Now, let's dive deep into renovations. What should I renovate to get this home sold? The answer is it depends. Often I walk through a home with somebody and they're like, well, I need granite countertops. I need to repaint. I need to do carpet. And sometimes this happens in a 1984 home and it has brass fixtures. It has dated carpet, and the list goes on and on and on. And once you make one repair update, it just kind of shines a light on everything else that hasn't been updated in the home. So my advice typically is not to do those large renovations unless you're willing to do lots of renovations. I would just stay away from renovations, yet price the home appropriately. So the strategy one would be price the home appropriately. So if you live in older part of Briargate and you have your neighbors is 1984, your house is 1984, and they just sold for $500,000 and you're in a relatively same condition as that, price it just like they did. If the neighbor to the right of you sold for $600,000, but they put $100,000 worth of renovations in it, typically they got to enjoy it for 5 years or so. This is why I don't recommend most people doing major renovations. Now, there are some renovations that are light, that are easy, that are cheap, that don't have to do, that don't take a lot of time. And we could discuss those items. Clean up the home and make it look really great. Those are the ones that I'll typically recommend my sellers to do. And those things are, kind of a as is. I'll go to your home. We can talk about a strategy. So if that's something that you're looking at, give me a holler. We can swing by there before we list your home, and we can kind of go over a renovation list. I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, happy house hunting.